is when your score drops 100 points. That's scary. That is scary. So your heart has to skip a beat. When you log on, you're probably expecting to see a little increase in your credit score, and you see this big drop like this. So that is some scary stuff. I mean, I know your heart has to drop. It has to start beating a little bit faster. Your stomach drops when it's this kind of thing happens, and all too often it actually happens. All too often, I get calls all the time. My credit score dropped, and typically when somebody hits me up and they say that their credit score dropped, I'm typically thinking, because uh, I've been doing this a while, and people call all the time, and people call and say, "Hey, my credit score dropped a whole 7 points." I'm like, 7 points? That wasn't worth your phone call. 7 points, because your credit score actually fluctuates. So it fluctuates sometimes seemingly for no reason at all. It just does. There are things going on behind the scenes that we just don't know all of the reasons and all the factors of these things going. But every once in a while, I get a call. My credit score dropped 30 points. My credit score dropped 50 points. And if your credit score drops 100 points, that's absolutely some scary stuff when it comes to that. So I typically warn you guys not to panic. Not to panic when your score drops a few points, that 10, that 15 points. Not to panic when it comes to those, because they do just fluctuate sometimes seemingly for no reason at all. Now, if and especially if you've done nothing at all, if you've done nothing at all and your score drops dramatically, you want to keep an eye on it. Like, if you haven't done anything at all and it drops, it could just be an anomaly. It could absolutely be an anomaly. So, make sure that you get yourself one of those apps that you can actually see and monitor your credit report, one that's free and you can look at it as much as you like. Go ahead and do that. Now, until April of 2021, you'll be able to see your credit report directly from TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian by going to www.annualcreditreport.com. www.annualcreditreport.com. You can go there every week and you can see your credit report. You don't get a score, but at least you'll be able to see what your credit report is. So if this happens to you and it's 100 points, it's really an anomaly if you haven't done anything at all and nothing else has showed up on your credit report, nothing new at all, then it's an anomaly. Oftentimes, what you'll see things happen on your credit report, and sometimes there's nothing at all, but your credit score never falls that much if nothing has changed at all. Now, if you get one of these other apps that I was talking about, so like let's say Credit Karma. If you go to Credit Karma, there is a section there that's called What's Changed. What's Changed. Click on What's Changed and see what the credit report, what Credit Karma says has changed on your credit. It should notify you if there's anything there. If there's nothing there, or if there's something that's, I'm going to call it insignificant, something that's insignificant, not a big deal at all, that's there, then you need to keep digging and see what's going on while you hit this dramatic drop in your credit score. So go in there and see what's changed. If things have changed that you weren't aware of, then make sure you just take a look at it and see what's what, and then you start to correct those things. All right. When you also go look at your credit report, what do you want to do? You want to check your inquiries. Check your inquiries. Maybe you'll find that some fraud is happening. Maybe somebody has applied for different things in your name or whatnot there, and those accounts maybe or may not have actually shown up on your credit report just yet. But go there and make sure you check at your inquiries. If you haven't applied for credit anywhere, then you'll know right away that there's something going wrong with that. Check the public records portion of your credit report. Typically on every credit report, whether you're using the app or if you're getting it directly from the credit bureaus themselves, it's toward the very, very end. You got public records. So you check your public records, see if something's going on in your public records. Typically there, You'll find like bankruptcy filings and things of that nature. It used to be judgments set there, even though judgments are no longer on your credit report. Those kinds of things. Liens used to be in this public records portion. So if you had a lien, get on your credit report from, say, the IRS or your state taxes or something, they would be in the public records portion. So check that as well. Check your collections section. Make sure you check that collection section. Maybe you missed something. You moved recently. Maybe you forgot about that old cable bill. Maybe your former landlord said you messed up something in the apartment or the home or whatnot, and now you have a collection. So make sure you check your collection section as well. And this is for people that also have never had a collection. Make sure you go and you check that. And the people that have had collections and still have some outstanding ones, make sure you go and check them out. It's possible that one of your collections was maybe sold to somebody else. So it was at one place, one collection agency, and they sold it to another collection agency. Maybe it's a duplicate on there now. Both of them are on there. So make sure you go check that as well. And then you want to check all your accounts. Check all your accounts to see if they're all on there and they're all reporting correctly. As far as you made payments and whatnot. Make sure that you do that. Sometimes there is an issue with the balance. I've noticed recently a few balances on a few clients' credit cards and student loans have been off, like way off, like double. So it's normal and correct the first month, 1 month, and then the next month is double as far as a balance is concerned. That's not good for your credit report at all in your credit score. So make sure you check those. Make sure that you check those things. One thing that could have happened, maybe you had a good account that was closed and old accounts that are good for you stay on your credit report for 10 years. Maybe one of them fell off. So if one of those good accounts fell off, they have been helping you all of this time, not helping you 100 points worth, but they've been helping you all this time, but maybe one of them or two of them have fallen off. If it's, say, student loans, and you know how student loans report on your credit report, it's 16 of them on there on your credit report. Say them bad boys were paid off and now they're falling off your credit report and several fell off at the same time, it could absolutely impact your score. Still, it shouldn't be 100 points worth, but that can impact your score. And this doesn't have to be 100 points, right? So if it was 80 points or 50 points or 60 points, then you want to make sure that you check those things as well, so you can see what has happened with your credit score. It could be a combination of activities that have happened on your credit report. So make sure that you go ahead and you check all of those things. Now, let's say you refinance your home. You refinance your home, your old mortgage closes, but your new one hasn't shown up yet. Plus, the money that you pulled out when you refinance, let's say you did this. You paid off those 2 car notes that you had, and you paid off that personal loan that you had from a bank. Then you paid off that furniture that you bought, with the deal. You get 1 year, no interest or whatever. You paid that off, and you closed that account. That's a whole lot of activity going on with your credit in a short amount of time. Now, it's positive stuff for you financially. It's positive for your pocket. It's positive for your budget when you did these things, but not so much for your credit score. A lot of activity scares FICO. When you have a lot of things going on, they have no idea at the time, at least initially, if it's good, if it's bad, or whatever it is. So oftentimes what they'll do is they side on the side of risk. That it's risky that you're having a lot of things going on, and that is going to bring your credit score down. It's absolutely going to go down if you have a lot of things happening at the same time. Now, I'm not saying don't do this. I'm not saying don't go get you a debt consolidation loan and pay off credit cards. I'm not saying don't refinance your home and then pay off all the stuff that I just mentioned, because like I said, it's probably good for your pocket. It's probably good for your pocket, but you got more money at the end of the month when it comes to this. So I just want you to be aware of what could happen to your credit score when these things happen. Your score should recover, though. Your score should recover. And it may take some time. No, it might take 3 months, 2 months, 4 months to go ahead and recover, but it will. Now consider this: if you've done this much activity, there probably isn't much else going on that you need to buy a big major purchase anytime soon. So there's probably not anything that's going to happen. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Give yourself some time for that credit score to bounce back, and the credit score will bounce back for you as well. All right. So you want to make sure that you do those things. That's another spooky, spooky, scary, scary thing that happens when it comes to your credit. Now, this last thing I want to tell you about that's very spooky and scary when it comes to your credit is bankruptcy. People are fearful of bankruptcy because what does it do? It kills your credit. It kills your credit score when you file bankruptcy. Now, when you are, say, overcome with debt, when you are that way, you can't see any other way out, and you start to consider bankruptcy. It's a scary situation. People don't want to do that. The vast majority of people, they don't want to file a bankruptcy. They have tried everything they can before doing so. Now they know it's going to kill the credit score, and that they also think that they won't be able to get credit again for another 10 years or so, right? It is very, very scary, but it's not as scary as it used to be. You can recover um, and from your bankruptcy. You can recover and start anew after a bankruptcy. Your score is going to drop. It's going to drop, no doubt. It's absolutely going to drop 150 points or so when you do this, when you do one of these. But like I talked about with refinancing earlier, we spoke of it might be the best thing for your pocket. Maybe it is. If you have been overcome with this debt and there's nothing you can do about it, you can't see a way out, you might need to file bankruptcy. Now, honestly, I think when I started this show, I hadn't. I don't think I had recommended bankruptcy to more than 3 people. Since then, I'm sure it's doubled. It's probably up to 7 or 8 people that I have recommended to file bankruptcy after looking at their credit report and evaluating their situation. But it's not often that I recommend it because some of the things you can absolutely get rid of, and oftentimes without paying the entire debt off. So when it comes to bankruptcy, it's absolutely spooky and it's absolutely scary as well. Now, bankruptcy, if you file a Chapter 7, is when you wipe out all of your debt. You just wipe it all out. All the stuff is gone when you file a Chapter 7. Now, you can't file on student loans, FYI, because if you could, there would be a whole bunch of people filing bankruptcy because those student loans are no joke. You cannot file on your student loans. But if you're filing a Chapter 7, that's when you're going to wipe out all of those things. Um, now, the bankruptcy for Chapter 7 is going to remain on your credit report for 10 years. So everybody that looks at your credit report for the next 10 years after you file is going to know that you filed bankruptcy. Now, you can file a Chapter 13 as well when it comes to bankruptcy, and this is when you restructure your debt. So you don't get rid of everything. You quote unquote save some things. So such as your car, you want to keep your car, or you want to keep your home, and you just continue to pay them. So you save those things, and you don't file bankruptcy on those particular items, and you pick and choose which ones you want to do that. All of this, and that stays on your credit report. They give you a little bit of grace because you filed a 13 and you just didn't say forget everybody. So in Chapter 7, it stays on your credit report for 10 years. In a Chapter 13, it stays on your credit report for 7 years. So you get a little bit of grace when it comes to that. But this too can be overcome. You do not have to wait the 7 or 10 years to start to reestablish credit again. Let me say that again. You do not have to wait the 7 or 10 years to reestablish credit again. As a matter of fact, to wait that long is an absolute mistake. You don't want to wait that long. You've been torturing yourself, trying to pay cash for stuff, or going to very, very places with very, very high interest rates and things of that nature just to get you a car or furniture. You've been renting from Rent Center and all this stuff because you holding on for the 7 or 10 years, and then when you come out of the bankruptcy, you have no credit established. So now you're starting like the very first scenario, the very first scary scenario we talked about today. You have no credit, right? So you don't want to do that. You can